hated it completely. You were like, I lasted 20 minutes, blah, blah, blah. Let me just cue this up.
Go on, then,
This is the second series of Danny Brocklehurst's workplace anthology drama. This time we're in Wales with people like Kimberly Nixon and Angela Griffin. And in this first episode, we had Con O'Neill, who was most recently in Happy Valley. He plays like the sales manager, I think, who early on has an accident at work, goes home, finds there's like a bolt on the door. His wife's home. She should be at work, and he's wondering, is she having an affair? Like the first series, I don't know if you remember last year, where it's Ordinary Lies, was Jason Manford lying that his wife had died. And that was the premise for the first episode. This one it sort of, at the start, seemed slightly more believable in that he was paranoid about his wife, and we learnt going on that he'd previously been an alcoholic. He was sort of trying to get through that by working outside with like the scouts and things like that. Gary, let me just see, what did you think of this one? Did you enjoy it, or?
I would say I was pretty close to a 10-minute and out. I can't really tell you why I kept watching. I think possibly because
Did you watch the whole hour?
I watched the whole thing. And
wow.
It enjoyed it at the end. I think this was a 45, 50-minute build-up to 10 minutes of very good television.
Well, what did you think of the reveal, Luke? Because the reveal was that she was part of like a To Catch a Predator gang who were hunting down paedophiles because their daughter had been abused when she was younger, and the wife, played by Jill Halfpenny, had never really gotten over it.
To be fair, I didn't see it coming, but I did think it was. I did think it was a tiny bit daft. If I'm honest.
Because like what I was thinking was, he's learnt from the first series where everything was outlandish. Like we had the drug smuggling one, we had Mackenzie Crook organising like a car theft to pay off his gambling
whilst also
debt.
having a double life, because that wasn't enough.
Whilst also having a second family. Whereas this, felt quite ordinary to an extent, that he thinks his wife is cheating on him, and he goes to the step of like rigging up cameras in the house, putting them in the fire alarms and things like that. It seemed believable until that final scene where everything went mental for 10 minutes.
Yeah. At one point as well, he also thought she might have been a lesbian because the people that she was bringing back to home were mainly women. He knew his son was smoking cannabis, but there wasn't really any explanation of where the thing ended up. And basically the thing ended up where, you're right, she was running this kind of like To Catch a Predator thing, and also his 17-year-old son was potentially having sex with an underage girl.
Yeah, he was 16, she was 13 or 14, wasn't she? And that was the thing it was the thing that their daughter had been groomed and abused by an older man, but he'd never sort of properly been charged. He'd got away with it, and Con O'Neill's way of coping with it was to become an alcoholic, start drinking, and Jill Halfpenny had done this, catching other people, catching men who sort of are trying to groom teenage girls on the internet.
The intriguing thing was right at the end with the letter to
Angela Griffin.
Was that from US Prison Services?
UK Prison Services.
UK Prison Services.
Yeah.
And I think we learn. Well, I think we know where we think that is going based on the previews for next week. We think
there was like a recurring thread throughout the last series, if I remember, where like Joe Joyner's husband had gone missing, and that was the sort of
the rarely seen Sean Dooley. Yeah.
Anyone sort of sticking with this, Luke? Do you want to pick up on a point?
My problem is that Danny Brocklehurst, who's done some good stuff, he cut his teeth on Clocking Off, which was another anthology series that I liked. He did Exile a few years ago. He's done some good stuff. But I don't know whether it's the age of TV we're living in or just the style of the show he's decided to do. But you have to enjoy this and just know that it's going to be bonkers. What I liked about Clocking Off was it told similar stories with proper characters, but never went bonkers. It always felt like those people really worked in that factory and these things were genuinely happening to them. I don't know whether it's the age of people wanting a big twist and wanting a big shock.
But I think already these characters are more likeable than the last lot.
Yes,
I think it might have to do with it. And with the actors, I mean, we like a lot of these people, Con O'Neill and Kimberly Nixon, who's in next week's one.
I think I will watch next week's because it focuses on her.
I feel exactly the same way. So
me too. There you go.
So all three of us are going to stick with it again. Something I'm not... Again, this is another one where Luke talked to me about this. This is Him, the ITV drama. and told me it was absolutely crazy and weird. And
to use a similar term to what we did, I think it's I do genuinely think it's completely bonkers.
they used a specific word to describe
Domestic
it.
horror. They call it domestic horror.
And it's focusing a lot upon a young lad who you never know the name of, which feels like a really smug plot device that I hated.
Did you not know his name?
No, they don't tell you his name. That's why it's called Him.
I didn't know that. I didn't know
because he's only referred to as Him, and that's why it's called Him. But I just found that to be like a really
isn't that clever?
Isn't that clever? They've never done that before. So he is like a young lad. His parents have got divorced. They've both got new partners now. Are both married. The mum, played by Catherine Kelly, is married to former Casualty and Strictly star Patrick Robinson, and the dad, who's played by
James Murray,
who I always mix up with Andrew Buchan.
I can see that.
Yeah, they do look. Yeah, there is a similarity.
And he's married to, I don't know the actress, but she's horrible. She's like really horrible.
Just before we get into this, they're all horrible.
They are all horrible. Even
people.
The boy. This is basically Matilda with a really
Thank you, Gary. Was that not my? Didn't I just say this to Gary?
Exactly what Luke said before you.
I mean, they're going for sort of Carrie, aren't they? But it's more like Matilda, because every time the adults say something he doesn't like, he gets like. He can control things, basically. He gets really angry, his eyes go thing, and then he can control various things. Early on, he sort of organises like a car crash. Later on, when Patrick Robinson is having a go at him, he almost has all these tools fall on his head.
And there's this hilarious scene
where these tools are just dangling over his head.
Yeah.
And then the final scene, he's had a really big blow up with his stepmother. Is just, I mean, as you say, everyone in this is horrible. Catherine Kelly, I think, is meant to be. We're meant to like her a little bit.
She's horrible. I hated her. I hated everybody.
But it's meant to be as well. This power that he's got is meant to be inherited from his granddad, and it skipped a generation. And his grandma, who's played by Susan Jameson, very sort of famous actress, is saying he needs to sort of control these powers and stuff like that. But at the end, he has a really big blow up with his stepmother, and basically the roof caves in. Is that right? Am I remembering?
That's right. Yeah, the bath
right.
comes into the
yeah,
bedroom.
and basically floods the bedroom, and we get the impression that she's going to lose the twins that she's carrying.
I know Gary's a bit more open-minded about completely ridiculous TV than I am, but I don't know who this is for. I genuinely don't know who this is for.
I feel like this is... I feel like this is been put in as a filler. This feels like a filler. I don't really know where they're going with it.
You look at this and you look at Paranoid, and there's just like a lot of weird drama on ITV.
I know what you're saying, Gary, but you don't commission things thinking I need a filler for.
No, I just say equally. I don't know where they're going with this, and as you say, who is it aimed at? It's got a very strong teenage lead, but it's on at 9:00. That's not a teenage market, particularly ITV, and yet. As a family, as you say, who do you empathise with? There's no one nice in the programme.
I don't even like him.
It's almost like they're putting it on because they put it on Wednesday night up against like the lead in from the Bake Off to The Missing. It's like, why would you? You'd put some like random documentary about clampers.
But then why haven't they? You could have paired this up with The Level on a Friday night or something, or wait until Paranoid was finished and show it then. But there's nothing.
It feels like they're like running out the clock on a lot of drama they commission. Because I read recently, because Polly Hill's just come in, hasn't she, from BBC, and she's just commissioned her first 4 dramas, which include, and Luke will be happy about this, a K melodrama.
Oh, I cannot wait for hating that.
I don't think there's anything bad about this programme.
Oh, there is. Everything is bad, Gary.
I think the writing is okay, and I think...
it's not, Gary.
No, it's not.
No, hold on. I'm allowed my opinion. There is a storyline in there.
There is.
I just don't know...
No, there is a storyline in there. He is right. There's a story. It's a rubbish story.
It's a terrible story that should never have been commissioned and put on telly. Would anyone that you know watch this and enjoy it? Because surely anyone's going to go, it's completely bonkers. Because at first I thought, is he imagining these things? Are they really happening? And then, of course, They are happening, and as
It's
soon as you
not
realise
as
that...
what it is. I think is that it's, as you say, the domestic horror, but these two things don't balance. If it went full on bonkers like horror, like a sort
Mhm.
of Buffy type thing or something like that, if it embraced it, at the same time, it wants to be this sort of kitchen sink sort of family drama as well. And
Yeah, it's lost.
those two
It
elements
lost a bit.
don't mesh together. As you said, Luke, it's going to alienate the fans of sort of standard sort of domestic drama and like outlandish horror drama because it's in that middle ground that no one really wants. And I think that's the problem with it.
But if Cold Feet wasn't on, ITV's drama this autumn is just not
Yeah, I've just finished
non-existent.
watching The Level, and that was like very middle of the road sort of forgettable. But they do look like they're trying for series 2 on The Level, so we'll have to see.
It does feel like poor Kevin Lygo's just going, well, they've commissioned this, they've filmed this, they've made this, may as well get it out now.
That's what I mean by filler. It's like, we've got it, we might as well show it.
Should we quickly go into the missing and Luke can go and powder his nose or something?
I'm going to go dark myself. Actually, you know what? For fans of weeing on the podcast, I might do that very thing. I might pound.
Please don't wee on the podcast.
Whoa!
I'm going to pee on your parade.
You've got an S&M film coming out this week. You can what?
Don't remind us, Gary. Don't remind us. I've had one course of therapy. Why? Could I just ask? Because I listened to that. Why would it be coming out at Christmas?
Well, when else do you bring out an S&M film?
The gift
Family.
for the whole family, yeah.
The gift that keeps on not giving.
Something for all the family to cry about.
Right, go do something. The missing episode 2. Gary,
Wash
do you
your
want
hands.
to lead us through this? Because I've watched episode 3 already, so I feel I might get some spoilers away.
Episode 2 is straight on from the end of episode 1, obviously, where the reveal of the fact that Alice is dead. But you now get a lot more stuff.
Oh, is it Alice?
Well, that's right. Now you get this kind of exposure where the theory is that is actually Sophie Giroux. And I can't say that name normally. No. I have to do Sophie Giroux.
You have to do it like Julian Baptiste does.
That's right. There is a very, very strong link now between the character of, is it Luke Reed?
Daniel Reed, sorry. You get this kind of very good thing, again, where they move around the time slots. You know, they move around from the present day to when Alice is first found. 2014 and 2016.
You got more of an expose about Roger Allen's character, isn't it?
He's now got dementia, but he's like, I read that, I won't take credit for this because I read this somewhere else. He's almost playing the Ken Stott role in this series. Like,
yeah, that's very true.
Who seems like really nice at first, and then because that's the unsettling scene at the end. What happens in this episode is we get introduced to the butcher and the butcher's wife, who is obviously hiding some secret. She used to be in the army, I think, with Daniel Reed's father Henry.
That's right. Yeah, that's it.
So they've got a connection there. But basically, at the end of the episode, the butcher is the one who's sort of accused of being the one who abducted Alice and Sophie. After Roger Alam brings her the photo, and she says, "Yes, that's him."
But there's also that very troubling...
She says to him, how can you live with what you've done? So there's something...
there's something there, but we still don't know how her father gets scarred. We don't know what's happened to the baby.
Keely Hawes is looking through photos of a roller coaster, something there.
The part that leads Julian Baptiste is that he finds this clip of Sophie Giroux, and it looks very much like a younger version of this.
Well, no, what it is,
as Alice, doesn't it?
What it is, it's the movement with the hands, the wrist movements, the nervous.
Sure, but there's also a strong look-alike.
Yeah, there is a resemblance, but the main thing he's basing it on, it's like, was it in the first series? Was it like a jumper or a scarf or something? It was a scarf, wasn't it?
It was a scarf, which was
that led everything towards.
Yeah.
The first series was very much like a whodunit. This series is there's a lot more questions, and it's a lot more like, is it Alice? Is it Sophie? Why is Julian in Iraq? What's going on there? Why is Keely Hawes looking at the photos on the roller coaster? It's a lot. There is a lot more questions.
Julian in Iraq.
There is a lot more questions about what's going on, and it's not as sort of linear, is it? It's not as clear cut. There was one big question in the first series. This series, there's lots of small mysteries which are obviously going to build up and hopefully climax in the last episode.
I very much compared this to the American series Damages, which I don't know whether you've seen. Luke hasn't, and I watched.
I watched the first couple of series of that.
Yeah, so did I. I think I watched up to series 4. The first series is the best because what they did was they showed